We're going to go ahead and get started. It's currently 5 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for attending our Workforce Information Technology virtual open house session. A couple of things that I do want to cover before we get started. We do have our team available with us to be able to answer questions. We ask that you hold off on those until the end. Additionally, if there are questions that we're unable to answer during the time span that we have, we'll be more than happy to follow up after this particular event's over. So again, thanks and welcome to everyone for attending. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so first of all, I want to get started and talk about our Workforce Information Technology program. With the courses that we do offer, I want to share that what we primarily focus on is making sure that our courses have a couple of features. So all of the ones that I'm going to talk about for today, we've done some industry research. One, we've used labor market information. And then two, we've gone in to validate that with our curriculum advisory committees. So with that being said, some of the key features of our program is that majority of the courses that I'll talk about are aligned with industry recognized certifications. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Additionally, some of the courses have credit for prior learning. And that means that when you enroll in our particular program for non-degree, there is an opportunity for those that are interested, for those courses that have been identified, to actually get credit for that prior learning by getting credit for the identified IT curriculum programs that you may be interested in. So that can actually help to save you money. And it can also cut down on your time for learning, should that be something that you would want. Additionally, we want to make sure that we consider the needs of the Wake County population and have the opportunity to provide flexible learning opportunities using remote learning. And we use Microsoft Teams for that. With that particular area, we focus on using the Microsoft Teams platform so that each and every one of those classes are instructor-led, and the class typically meets at designated times. And with that being said, most of our courses typically meet 2 days a week. So it could either be like a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And then some of those classes are actually available on the weekend. We also have opportunities for students to be able to attend class on campus for those courses that have been identified. As I said earlier, all of our courses are based on research. And with that, in Wake County, we've identified those in-demand IT courses and those topics that are needed by employers in this particular area. Starting off with the top row, we have artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and data analytics. So each one of these particular topics is a growth area or it's rapidly growing. When we look at the second row, each and every one of these, with the exception of IT support, is pretty much a mainstay. We know that our population still needs digital literacy to some extent, as well as the importance of, digital media and graphics. And I'll talk a little bit more in a few moments about what those course titles are in each of these areas that we focused on. But IT support is still very much in demand. And then this very last row for mobile app, web development, networking, programming, and software engineering, these are all high growth areas as well. So these occupations and employment opportunities are still rapidly growing. And so our programs are actually centered around these. When we take a look at artificial intelligence, for the program offering, we've really gone in and revamped our portfolio. And we've done that as recently as last fall and still putting on some of those newer courses this particular semester. And artificial intelligence, the course titles that we've chosen are two. With the first one for artificial intelligence, AI, and ChatGPT Essentials for Business, This is geared more towards end users, and primarily so because we know that there are still many conversations where individuals are trying to figure out how can we leverage AI? What does it really mean for me, and how does it impact my workplace, my employment? And so with that, this particular course is one that's short term, and we provide that offering. And additionally, we have one with Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals, and that's more focused on the cloud aspect, but to give students an entry level introduction to the Microsoft Azure platform for AI. Cloud computing is another one of the hot topics. And so for that, we focused on the biggest two. We do recognize there are other platforms such as the Google Cloud platform. But when we look at our research, what we've seen is that there's a strong demand for Microsoft and AWS. So we've started off by having 3 different course titles. And with this, for those that are looking to on-ramp into this area, we focused on Microsoft Azure Fundamentals and AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. All of these are credential aligned. And when we look at AWS Certified Solutions Architect, even though previously we offered this bundled with the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, we have taken this and broken out the entry level course. And so now this is standalone, and it's targeting that intermediate cloud certification. So all of these are credential aligned. When we look at cybersecurity, one of the things that we noted with the revamp for this is, initially we had 2 that we focused on. A long time ago, we had ethical hacker that have evolved to some extent. But in short, what we've done here is put a course in, which is the cybersecurity Cisco certified support technician. We noticed there was a strong interest from our population to start with a CompTIA certified cybersecurity analyst certification. And this course is really advanced, and you really need some foundation underneath you before you enroll into this particular course. So the course of interest when looking at entering the cybersecurity field for an entry-level individual who may not have the appropriate knowledge and skills to go into CompTIA CYSA Plus is to actually take a look at the Cisco Certified Support Technician. So even though it has that Cisco branding, a lot of the material is transferable into this particular field of cybersecurity to help get you started. We still have the CompTIA Security Plus. That's actually been shortened. And additionally, we've added on Cybersecurity Essentials and Ethical Hacker. Both of those are capture the flag opportunities. So this will be our first semester pretty much piloting these particular courses. CompTIA Pentest Plus is more niche based. And again, it's more of an advanced certification. And we've seen the enrollment for the interest in this particular course actually spike in addition to the enrollment. And one of the newly added ones is CISA. And so for Certified Information Systems Auditor, this is a new course that we've added on for this particular semester. Again, all focused on the cybersecurity area. Our most popular course in our area is actually the Data Analytics for Business Professionals. This course is in the process of being overhauled. And the reason for it is, when we did research and ran this course offering about 3 years ago, it was a 144-hour course, which was pretty lengthy. And so what we're doing is removing some of the items out. So for instance, when we look at it right now, it's primarily focused on SQL, Excel, Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, and project management. And so what we've done is we're going to reduce this particular one, but we've taken out some of the primary topics that we see our learners having a bigger interest in, which is still in alignment with the labor market. But this course as a whole, when looking at data analytics, it has really evolved. And in short, without going into a lot of detail, a lot of it now has a programming component. And so with that, we haven't added the programming piece in our particular offering, but we've actually broken it up so that we still have Microsoft Power BI for data analysis because that is of huge interest. But for those wanting to get started in this area, we would suggest that you on-ramp into a program for consideration like data analysis and visualization with Microsoft Excel. Additionally, we've added on a credentialed course, which is CompTIA Data Plus. And so that is one of the newer offerings that we have now. And this will be the first semester that we're providing this particular course. We do know that digital literacy is really important, but a lot has changed. Historically, we would offer like a Windows 10 or Windows 8 type of class, but society has evolved, especially since the pandemic. And so, with that in mind, I do want to point out that we do recognize that certain areas of our population still need this type of course. So, before in the prior semesters, it was a 72-hour course. We have reduced this so that now all of the topics that you see here is a total of 24 hours. And what we focus on is the title of this course is Information Technology Essentials for Professionals. And this one course has 4 topics. We do know that it's important for individuals in the workplace to have digital awareness. They need to understand how to use and navigate computers and their mobile devices, as well as create the digital content and communicate online in addition to collaboration. And then, of course, we all need that safety aspect for security awareness. So this course is an all-in-one. It's a 24-hour course. And this particular one, in order to make it accessible to the population, the price for this one is $82 with all fees said and done. Digital media and graphics. So in this particular area, based on the research that we saw, it's not that these 2 topics are necessarily in demand. In fact, we know that Adobe Photoshop is well known in the industry, but we did go in and update it so that it's focused on Adobe Photoshop 2025. But when we look at Canva Essentials, that seemed to have more relevance to the marketplace and more particularly targeting those who are trying to advertise content and graphics or create publications for social media or other reasons. But we do know that when looking at social media or content creators, Canva is one of those more popular tools. And so that's why we are deciding to offer it for the first time this semester. For IT support, so in looking at this area has gone through a revamp. Historically, we've offered this as one course. More specifically, it was IT support technician. And so a couple of changes have occurred, but the reason that we offered it in this manner before was, being rolled up into a bundled series of topics. Really, at the time, it was 3. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. At this particular point in time, society has evolved so that there's been some rebranding in the marketplace. And then CompTIA has gone in and done their own research and recognized a need to change some things in the prior certification. So while we still offer an IT support technician course for those who want to save money and time, that is still available. But additionally, we know that with the previous offering, it was comprised of 3 courses, which was CompTIA IT Fundamentals Plus, and then it had A Plus Part 1 and A Plus Part 2. And what we often find is that students may need, for whatever reason, to on-ramp into a particular topic. Maybe they want to enroll in CompTIA A Plus Part 2, or maybe they want CompTIA Part 1. They don't want to go through a longer course that's 144 hours. I will say it's no longer 144 hours. It has been reduced some, but there's an opportunity now to enroll in shorter courses. So let's look at those. More specifically, the IT support technician now has been broken up so that we can focus on CompTIA's rebranding of CompTIA IT Fundamentals Plus. So if you have that particular credential or you've taken that type of course, it has now been rebranded to CompTIA Tech Plus. You'll notice that the previous versioning was U61, is now U71. And again, the name has changed. So this is the new one, and this is the one that we offer. This is an entry-level course. And then this year also, CompTIA is going to update the A+, Part 1 and Part 2. So those numbers will change along with the content, and we plan on offering that by the fall of this year with the updated versioning of this. And then the last one, and this is a new one, is the Cisco Certified Support Technician, the CCST for IT support. Now you may remember, thus far I've talked about, the Cisco CCST as it relates to cybersecurity. But in short, they also have one for IT support. And like the cybersecurity, the information that you learn for IT support is transferable into other areas as well. So if you wanted to on-ramp into IT support, we would recommend that if you're looking for a little bit of a longer course that covers all of the essentials, but not as long as the IT support technician, you could consider the Cisco Certified Support Technician for IT support. And if you're wanting a shorter course to get started and you just want to chunk the information, taking a little bit at a time, meaning that you want to on-ramp into the first course, we would recommend that one start with CompTIA Tech Plus. For Microsoft Office, in this particular area, we've only focused on 2 courses. And so with this, we still have the Microsoft Office 365. And this particular course is currently being updated. And with that, we also have added the Microsoft Teams Essential. For this particular course, it's been added on because we know that it's important in the marketplace. And so we wanted to be able to provide that particular training and make it available. But additionally, like I said, the marketplace pretty much has taught this particular course, but there's still some that need that information for the Microsoft Office suite. So this is available, but it's going through a revamp. Additionally, we have the course topic of mobile app and web development. And so here we've gone in and reorganized this, one, to provide clarity to the title so that, individuals understand what we're really focused on here that are entering this field. And so this particular content and the way it's delivered has changed, but the topics are still the same. So we're focused on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But again, just wanting to emphasize that we're only focused on the front end aspect of this particular course. Our networking area, that portfolio of offerings has also been revamped. So 2 things. The first one is for network technician. Historically, we focused on Linux in addition to CompTIA Network Plus and CompTIA Security Plus. So we've gone in and we've changed that, especially looking at the marketplace and based on our research. We recommend that individuals wanting to on-ramp into this area consider the network technician for introduction to Cisco CCST. And so this will be the last one. So there are 3 different courses under the umbrella of Cisco CCST. They're not connected in the sense that, it's like a suite of offerings, but these are independent with their own individual career path, and each one of them has their own credentials. So with this, there's a credentialing exam for that. And again, if students want to get started with network technician, this is a good place to start. The information is transferable, and then you would be able to build on that. Additionally, the next course that we have would be the CompTIA Network Plus. This was just updated last year in the fall. So we have the newest version offered here. And one thing I do want to clarify when taking a look at Cisco CCNA is that historically we had this course and it was rather lengthy, and we wanted to make sure that we covered all aspects in order for students to get the credential alignment that they needed. But in truth, this course was very long. It was 210 hours. We can't get it any lower than 168 based on our research. And so with this course has been broken into 2 parts, each one of them being 96 hours apiece. So when you look at the first one for Cisco CCNA 1, That one's focused on the networking and the routing foundations. And then we have the Cisco CCNA2, which is the advanced networking with security and automation. So those are broken into two parts and hopefully a little more digestible to the population too, because it's not one big bundled 210-hour course. It's now two 96-hour courses that are separate. When we take a look here, and I believe this is the last topical area, we have the programming and software engineering. And so a couple of revamps have gone on here for a couple of reasons. So the first one is historically we focused on the software developer using Python. That particular course is going under some redevelopment, but it does allow for the opportunity for students to transition and use the credentials from here and port them over to curriculum for credit bearing offering once you meet the criteria for providing what they need on their side. But with that being said, we also have Python programming. That's consisting of Python 1 and 2. So with the first part of the Python programming, the entire course is aligned with the Python Institute. And so it starts off with entry level and then it transitions to intermediate. Likewise, JavaScript programming, this particular one is aligned with the JS Institute. And like the Python programming, it starts off entry level and then it transitions into an intermediate course. One distinction between the Python programming here, where you're focused on Python Essentials 1 and 2, the distinction is that this particular focus is aligned with the Certiport exam. And so with it, we would actually recommend that you start here with Python programming prior to going into software developer using Python. At this point, I want to talk a little bit more about credentialing and industry recognized certifications. We do find that it's important for us to ensure that students have the opportunity to evidence competency to employers in order to validate that they have the appropriate knowledge and skills. Additionally, we use credentials again so that individuals can transition if they'd like from non-degree programs at Wake Tech into a degree-bearing program in our IT division at Wake Tech for those courses that meet whatever criteria they've established and get credit for prior learning. Additionally, students do have the opportunity to participate in challenge exams. And so if there are those of you that have questions about that, we can provide a little bit more information on the back end to get you started and moving in the right direction if that's something of interest to you. But again, it can certainly help you save time and money towards a degree if that's what you would like to do. And additionally, the second part of that is we want to make sure that we focus on industry recognized credentials, those third-party ones such as Microsoft, CompTIA, Cisco, AWS, and Certiport. And with Certiport, they're aligned with Pearson, and it's focused more on IT specialist credentials. And again, like I said a little bit earlier, we've added some newer ones on that focus on like the Python Institute and then the JS Institute. So those are third-party credentials as well. For course costs and time, for our particular offerings, what I've done here is put the tuition in to show that with some of the fees, we're looking at a base cost of at least $82 and as high as $203. And that's specifically focused on the tuition. If the course has vouchers or licensing involved for exams to be taken, then those fees would increase. But just the base cost, just for those courses that don't have those particular materials, it is $82 to $203. And our particular team focuses on course times. We really try to use a time slot with 3. So here what we've shown is that our courses are either offered from 9 to 12, Monday through Saturday, or they're 1 to 4, Monday through Friday, and sometimes Saturdays, really depending on the availability of our instructors. And then the last one for 6:30 to 9:30, which is really our most popular time slot, Monday through Friday. I do want to say that the Friday offerings do vary in the summer because the college typically closes. And then so depending on how we're structured and set up, and what's going on. There may not be some Friday offerings in the summer, but with that being said, these are the core times that we generally offer courses. When we look at locations, as I've said before, we do offer courses through Microsoft Teams. We use a synchronous learning process. 100% of our virtual courses through Microsoft Teams are face-to-face, and they are instructor-led. But when I say instructor-led, I mean that, there's a physical person there meeting at a designated time that's actually specified in the course publishing. And so you have the opportunity to interact and engage with that particular instructor at those points in time. Also, we have on-campus classes. We can offer classes at multiple sites, but what we found historically are these are the 5 locations that students generally want to take classes at in person. If you find that there's something that you would like for us to offer at a specific site, please feel free to share that with us, because we do take that into account, and we'll offer those classes should we see that there is a need for that. But in short, we offer classes at the Scott Northern Wake campus typically, as well as the Southern Wake campus, which is towards the other direction of 401, and the Western Wake campus on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, as well as RTP and the Beltline Center. So those are the main areas that we generally offer our courses. At this point, I want to talk a little bit about our team that actually makes this possible. So hats off to our instructors, because without them, we would not be able to offer these classes. And so with that being said, we do focus on making sure that we have specific criteria for instructors to teach our classes. More specifically, when you're working with an instructor for those evening classes, they are generally working in the field, and they are teaching classes for us in the afternoon. All of our classes that are credential aligned require that the instructor take the certification and have that credential. The only exception would be if it is a new credential that's in the marketplace, but yet we feel the need to offer it. At that point, the instructor has 6 months to be able to have that, but they do need the work experience to evidence the competency to teach those classes. So we do work with practitioners in the field, and that's very important to us for our classes. When we look at our technical assistant, Anna Flores, so in a minute I'll actually show, in fact, I think I'll go ahead to that. So this is our team. Right now you're speaking with me, but hats off to our team for all the support that they provide. All of them care about our students and want to make sure that you're able to accomplish your personal, your professional, and your academic goals. Anna is our technical assistant, and she does a wonderful job of making sure that you get your certifications, your vouchers, as well as get you routed to the right direction should you have a question. And we have Jennifer Simmons-Vage, and she is one of our coordinators, and her main area of focus really on 2 areas, one for artificial intelligence and 2, cybersecurity. And then we have Ms. Andrea Detmers, who is another coordinator. She actually oversees our digital literacy area. Hats off for overseeing our data analytics courses, which actually take a lot of oversight. And additionally, she oversees our Microsoft Office courses. And then we have Ms. Rochelle Waters, who's our 3rd coordinator. And so she oversees our networking courses, and she also makes sure that that includes the Cisco CCNA and our IT support area. So this is our team. Again, we have a dedicated staff that want to make sure that you have what is necessary to help you be successful. The other thing I want to talk about, which is really important to our students, because a lot of our population take our classes in order to have upward mobility, to have a better life. And with that being said, it's important for them to make sure that they have supports available. So I do want to point out that we do have career services available to help you with job opportunities. They also give resume assistance and help with networking events. So I've put their website address here, and we'll navigate to that in just a second. And then the second one is we noticed that our students sometimes need help with financial resources and student supports. And so with that, we've added their email address in. And what I'm going to do there is show you their website so that you can also identify and see some of the courses that I've talked about that they do provide funding for. Should one be eligible, they will pay up to a certain dollar amount, but they're better qualified to talk about that. But I'll talk about where we can point you to assist with that in just a second. If you need to reach out to us, here's how you can do that. If you look at the phone number, this is our main phone number. We'll make sure you get routed to the right person. And additionally, our email is constantly checked. So this is our email address for our centralized mailbox. And then this is our website. In short, I'll take off the HTTPS and all of that and just say you could type in ncce.waitech.edu in order to get that to come up. At this point in time, what I'm going to do is bring up 3 sites. Let's see. So the first one, let's see if this will work. Okay, this is good. So the first one is for career services. If you go to their particular site, you'll be able to see their webpage. I encourage you to take a look at some of the links on the left side, and more specifically for job seekers. If you come into this particular area, they'll give you a brief overview of what it is that they can help you with. And this will give you a little more information. And they've done a wonderful job of having their phone number at the bottom of the page in addition to their email address, and they are very responsive. And if you're interested in registering for a class with them, they have their classes posted. And I'd like to draw attention to a couple of those. So in alignment with what we're focused on for right now, they do have pathways to IT careers. And so it looks like they have an upcoming class on Tuesday, April the 29th. And then they have a schedule that it looks like you're able to view, and they have additional information along with the contact name. And so this information is available. And what we'll do is drop this website address into the chat. And if someone from our team could actually put that in there and label it with career services so that everyone can access that, that would be wonderful.
It's already there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Additionally, we have the Propel area. So earlier I talked about workforce, student resources, and financial support. So for that particular team, when you navigate to their website, they have various courses that they have identified that are eligible for funding. And if you were to move a little bit further down on the right, you'll notice that for our particular area for information and digital technology, we have several courses here that they're capable of funding. And one thing that I do want to point out, they've also done a wonderful job. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I don't know if I'm going to see what I'm looking for because some things have changed. And they have some frequently asked questions that I encourage you to explore. And it could be that they provide financial assistance with courses that may not be identified here. And so it's wonderful if you just reach out to ask questions. Once the application window is open, which is typically 3 times a year, they do have someone, once you've submitted that application, that you're able to reach out to. In this case, they've identified Wendy Erickson, so that you can email her and be able to ask whatever question you may have regarding your application. And then the last one I want to talk about, I'm going to put this in here. For our site, like I said, you could just put in ncce.waitech.edu. That'll take you to our website. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. For one, they have a button on our page that shows the financial assistance available to apply for a scholarship. Please keep in mind that this button is only available in terms of the application portion of that process for the Propel program 3 times a year, and it'll say something like application window is open or something like that. But you can also reach out to them in order to determine when those opportunities are available. With that being said, I just want to give just a quick overview of a few of the courses and our website so that you'll have a clear picture on what you're looking at and to provide some assistance and clarification to this process. So the first one is for the courses that we offer. You can actually look here and you'll see it aligns with the information and digital technology career field courses. And these, I believe, for the most part, are listed alphabetically, provided those courses have class sections that are available for registration. So I'll start and I'll go from left to right. The first thing is, if you look at the detail section, and I'll come back to this you can get more information on the course. The section is obviously the section number, but this dates will tell you when the class starts and when it ends. And then when you look at location, it tells you where the class is being held. So in this particular case, you'll notice quite a few offerings are available online. These are traditional face-to-face classes that are instructor-led, and the class meets at designated points in time. Additionally, for the price of the course, you'll be able to see that here, and you can see how many seats are available. So there are 24 seats left here. And then if you're interested in registering for the course, you can click the register button. Before I go back to this, I want to cover a couple more things. This down here allows you to say, let's say you're looking at a particular course and it doesn't have any course sections available for registration. You can click on WaitTech's Notify Me service. And so in short, you'll get a notification when that course title is available for enrollment. So just wanted to add clarity there. In order to get more details on the course, we encourage you, let's say you wanted to look at Adobe Photoshop. Before I go to the eye, let's look back up here at the top. You'll notice that for this particular course topic for Adobe Photoshop, if you click on Overview, it will actually give you the description, the course outline, the requirements for the course, who it's intended for, and more details typically align with which course coordinator supervises that particular course. And this is the same information for every single course that is listed on our NCCE website. So for instance, if you want a description for the course, that information is here. It is showing you who the intended audience is. But if you click on course outline, what you'll notice is it'll tell you what the course is focused on, and it'll give you a sequential outline of instruction. And so with that, if you look a little bit further down, you'll see the contact hours. In this case, it's 36. For each and every one of our courses where students successfully complete the class based on meeting the requirements, you will get a certificate. So we do issue a credential, which is a WaitTech certificate for the course, even though they are pass or fail. And additionally, it'll tell you whether or not it has an industry. Really, we focus on certification. So if it's a credential course that's industry aligned with one of those certifications I talked about earlier, it'll say yes. And so what I'll do, let me go to one that actually has that. Let's look at the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. So I'm going to click on Overview. And again, if I go to Course Outline, you'll notice here it does say that there is an industry standard or state or national certification. So we put yes. We'll tell you what the certification is. And then this website, the links all should work. And when you click on it, it'll actually give you the information you need for that credential. So you don't have to type that into your browser. So let me close that. And additionally, you'll notice that the learning outcomes for that specific credential, as it relates to this course title, all of those are lined here. And that's the information that you'll see in the course outline area. When we click on the requirements, we strongly encourage all individuals who desire to enroll to please look at the prerequisites. We can't force you not to enroll, but what we say is, hey, we don't cover that course content that is needed before you do enroll that we've identified under prerequisites. So please make sure you have it. Yes, you do have the opportunity to bypass that, but we strongly encourage you not to. So before enrolling in the course, take a look at the requirements, look at the prerequisites for what you need in order to get started with the course. And also take a look at the requirements to be successful in this course. You'll notice that many of our attendance requirements have at least an 80% attendance. And again, that's based on the scheduled course hours that you were able to see here for contact hours. So in this particular example, you would be able to miss no more than about 20% of those particular classes, so about 2 days. And we do look for our students to actively participate in the class because we want to make sure that students are able to get the hands-on skills in order to transfer that into the real world. When we look at the intended audience, this actually tells you who the course is designed for. And for 100% of every single course that is listed, credential aligned or not, it actually has the job titles, the job roles that align with that particular course topic. And this is based on our research. So this is on manual research. That's what this is based on. And we actually talk about the need for the course. And again, we do research before we put it on, and then we validate that with our advisory board. And so this industry or job titles is really reiterating what we see here for the specific industry. When you click on more details, this is definitely changing for that, but when you click on the course details, this will tell you who the course contact is for a particular course. And so with that, it will get you routed to the right person so that they'll be able to answer whatever question you may have. With that being said, I want to go back to what I pointed out, and this is the last item before we move forward with any questions you may have. When you look at the I for a course topic, so in this case, we're looking at AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. If you click on the I under details, this will give you additional information about this course, such as, we've already talked about the location, which is here. But what you don't see, let me go back. What you don't see there is the class meeting times, which is very important. So 1, it tells you how the course is delivered. 2, it talks about the registration. So for instance, if a voucher is included with the course, it'll tell you here. Additionally, whoever the course contact is, and this is really the course contact. In this case, you can see it's Rochelle Waters. It tells you her email as well as her phone number. So that is there. And then it gives you the course meeting times. In this particular case, it's important to note that this class meets on Monday and Wednesdays from May the 14th of this year going through June the 25th. And this is an evening class meeting from 6:30 to 9:30. At this point, that is all the information I have. I'd like to take the opportunity to open up and give you the chance to be able to ask us some questions. And to do that, please come on with your mic. Yes. If we could, let's hear from, it looks like Dan Loomis. And if you're able to come off your mic, please feel free to do so.
Yep, I'm off mic. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. This is a great presentation. Thank you. What do you recommend for students that don't really know what focus area they want to pursue? Is there a survey course maybe that they can attend? Or what is your recommendation there?
My recommendation would be one of 2 things. So the first one is, let me see if I can bring this up again. My first recommendation would to take this survey class. Where is it? All right. And more specifically on the careerservices.waitech.edu website. And so earlier I talked about looking on the left side and going to job seekers. And when you go to job seekers and look here, they had register for a class. And what was really neat about this is the opportunity to look under upcoming courses. They have a class for pathways to IT careers. It looks like it's upcoming on Tuesday, April the 29th. And for this class, though, it's 1:00 p.m. to 4:00 p.m. And then they have their full schedule. And it could be, and it's a virtual class. It could be that they have that class offered on a different date or time. I might suggest to reach out to Rachel Cox, who's the name here, in order to find out if this class doesn't align with your availability, to reach out to her to ask her for other considerations. But let me say one other thing. With this particular department, if you're not able to make that class, and you're trying to determine where to get started, such as IT, there are a host of ways to assess in order to identify your interest. And this particular team for career services has a website and resources, let's use the word resources, that they're able to provide you so that you can take that assessment and identify different potential areas that might be a good start for you. And a couple of things come to mind for me, but one of them is the interest profile survey, where they ask you a series of questions, can be as short as 60 or as long as 180. But either way, generally it won't take any more than 15 minutes for the shortened version, about 30 minutes tops for the longer one. And basically, it'll help you identify areas of interest based on the different activities or tasks you like to perform.
Okay, that's perfect. And that survey is linked on this particular page?
I would actually reach out to them and ask them where that survey is, or I wouldn't use the word survey, ask them for resources to help you identify. And I would email it to them here at this address. Do you see this career services at
Yes,
Wake
ma'am.
Tech?
Yeah.
Use that. And they're
Okay.
really good at what they do, especially knowing that they have staff that are actually trained and certified in this.
Perfect. Can I ask a follow-on question?
Sure.
So this is on behalf of my stepson. He has an appointment with an advisor tomorrow for the IT department. That's different than this, correct? Is that for like the degree program?
What I would say, if it is not with one of the staff members here, it very well is probably with someone. Well, actually, a couple of things have changed. So don't let me say that. If your son has an appointment, let them know the area that you may be interested in. Hear them out for what they have to share. And if you're still more specifically interested in the workforce side, let them know that, and they'll direct you to the appropriate person on our team.
Perfect.
Because
Okay.
one thing that Wake Tech has changed, and I'm still getting used to all of this, is that we have gone to what we call the one college approach. And so we work closely with our IT area for the curriculum side for degrees. We're obviously focused on non-credit, non-degree, but with our advisors, they have been trained and they are being trained to serve both sides
Oh,
so
that's
that we're
perfect.
one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, any other questions? Jazz?
Yes, I wanted to find out, see if you guys also offer any Linux or Red Hat classes.
We used to have a Linux class with our network technician course. When we look in the markets, but I'll be honest with you, a couple of things. When we look in the marketplace and look at the research, we see that there is a need. What we found though is when it comes to course enrollment, we haven't necessarily seen the population demonstrate interest. But we do have the opportunity to provide that type of offering. And historically, it's been somewhere between 36 and 42 hours. For Red Hat is due to come back online. We have offered that within the last year. It will not come back online until after July. So we should see something available in the fall. And Rochelle, and she's on the call, Rochelle Waters is the coordinator for that. And let me go ahead.
And I was going to say, okay, thank you. Appreciate providing the information.
You're very welcome. And look, with that, this is the email address. So that's one way to reach out to us for that. But then we can narrow it down and give something a little more specific. It'll be, I'd say in about 2 months. And I know that's a bad date, but in about 2 months.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anyone else? See if any questions are in the chat. So Adil, let's start back at the top.
Everything that's in the chat has been answered at this point.
Perfect.
A lot of them are asking about career placement, job assistance. Again, that would be your career services department. They work closely with the employers in our area, and they often have job fairs that they announce for our students, the whole student body. Also, if you do get a Propel scholarship, NC Works is a partner as well in that area.
Okay.
And if you have a specific question about which course you might want to take or need to take, reach out to the NCCE box. Dr. Alford, can you put back up our information so anyone who needed to see it could grab that?
Yes. In
and
fact, I'll
we
put it
can-
in email.
Okay, or in the chat. That way you guys can reach out directly to us and we can assess which coordinator would be best to work with you. And we can guide you toward the right resources.
And one thing I can share, thank you for that, Jennifer. This is additional information if it helps for our career services team. So there's the QR code that's also available, and they have actually highlighted the course. So if this is helpful, here's some additional information. And let's see. And one thing that they've also shown is their availability and times of availability. So one of the questions asked earlier was about those services. So even if you're a senior advisor and you want further exploration, they have the opportunity for you to participate in career services for drop-in labs. You can meet with a career coach at most of the Wake Tech campuses they pointed out. They welcome walk-ins also for those that may want to see someone face-to-face. And they point out that it is fee waived. And then the last part is on the right. They show their campus locations and then their daytime availability for these drop-in labs as well. Do we have any other questions? Jennifer, Rochelle, Andrea, do either of you have anything that you want to share? Anything that you feel I left out?
I do not.
Please,
I
I
had a
have one
question or two.
question.
Yes, please,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, I want to mention thanks for the presentation, and my question will be for someone who I'm interested in the cloud computing field, and I'm looking for. I've already working on the AWS certification, and my question will be for someone who complete the non-degree program with you. Do they have some guide about if they are seeking for a job, and can you help them to to work in on the curriculum, and also find a job if you have if you work with some partner who is
What
looking for.
The answer to that is yes. And this is, again, one of the support services that Wake Tech has for that is our career services team. So they have this all in one. Our staff there is Rachel Cox, that was mentioned on the previous screen. She's definitely a great contact. But the one that we work closely with for career services in terms of that is Lauren Bamford. But either way, they'll get you to the right location. And so here they have their QR code to visit cpd.waketech.edu. But in short, let me go back. I'm going to put this web page up because this might be, I think this might be more relevant. If you just type in careerservices.waketech.edu, and I won't steal their thunder, but take a look at job seekers, because once you actually click there, I would pose that question at this email address or this phone number, depending on what you're most comfortable with. And we have a tool, so I won't go into a whole lot of details, but we have a tool, Handshake, and they can tell you a little bit more about that. But they serve us again as one college, whether you're degree or non-degree, and they actually do a wonderful job of handling our employer outreach. And they can actually talk to you about what's available and where to go to get the best information for that so that it aligns with what your interests are. And I know someone asked a little bit earlier about tools and resources. It looks like on that same page, when you click on the tools and the resources, they have a few types of information for you to look at. I think, let me just go back because that can be overwhelming. I think you should just email this particular email address in order to get more direct service and get a specific response to help you get started with that, okay?
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I see that we have 5 more minutes. Do we have any other questions?
Will this presentation be available after this call?
Yes, they're actually going to post it. So let me put this up here. Just in the spirit of transparency, if you have any questions about where it will be specifically posted, you can email at this address and ask us because I'll make sure that that's available online. But also, I thought historically, I don't know, is Mike Langer on the call?
I am here.
Can you share some additional details about that?
I do not remember, but I want to say that this exact place that everybody found this link is where they'll have a link to the videos of the sessions as well.
So thank you. So if you have difficulty finding it, just reach back out to me and we'll make sure that you get access to it, okay?
It will also be on our YouTube, and everyone who's attended this will get a link to that as well.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions before we wind down? Well, thanks everybody for attending. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our staff. One of the most convenient ways to do so is by email or by phone. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.